from the Formula One star and his young teammate of the UK. They're going to win the race.
This is the story of how one GT3 race at the Nürburgring proved that the greatest Formula One driver of this generation has been preparing for victory in ways no one else could even imagine. This wasn't just another race. Years of hidden training, virtual obsession, and a mental transformation collided, and it all started with a lie. May 10th through 15th, 2025. The Nürburgring Nordschleife, the most demanding racetrack on Earth. A mysterious driver calling himself Franz Hermann was destroying GT3 lap records during what was supposed to be a routine test session. Lap after lap, this unknown German was posting times that made professional GT3 drivers question everything they thought they knew about the green hell. The paddock was buzzing. Who was this Franz Hermann? Where did he come from? How was he this fast? The truth? Franz Hermann didn't exist. It was Max Verstappen. The four-time Formula One world champion had gone undercover, using a fake German name to test in secrecy at the very circuit where his entire mindset had transformed 5 years earlier. During those secret May test sessions, Verstappen shattered Christian Krogness's benchmark lap time of 7 minutes, 49.578 seconds. Not by a few tenths, by seconds. And he did it while the rest of the motorsport world had no idea he was even there. Team 75 Bernhard, the outfit running the operation, kept it quiet. Verstappen wasn't hiding from fans, he was hiding from competitors, because what he was building at the Nürburgring wasn't just preparation for a single GT3 race. It was proof of a system, a revolutionary approach to racing that combined virtual mastery with real-world execution in ways that no other driver had ever achieved. But this wasn't the first time the Nürburgring had changed Max Verstappen. October 11th, 2020. The Eifel Grand Prix, the very same circuit, but a completely different version of Max Verstappen. He was young, frustrated, and trapped in a Red Bull that couldn't compete with Mercedes' dominance. During practice sessions, his radio crackled with complaints.
I just didn't have the grip in Q3.
Cold tyres, understeer, lack of grip in the freezing German conditions. He qualified third. He finished second.
Verstappen comes home for second, takes the fastest lap.
But something shifted that weekend. After the race, Verstappen made a statement that would define the next 5 years of his career. I should just try to do the best I can and get the best out of myself, he said. It was a fundamental rewiring of his competitive psychology. Stop complaining about what you can't control. Start perfecting what you can. That mental shift at the 2020 Eifel Grand Prix became the foundation for everything that followed. The 2021 championship, the 2022 dominance, the 2023 record-breaking season, the 2024 title defense, 4 consecutive world championships. All built on a mindset change that happened on the same stretch of German asphalt where he would return 5 years later as Franz Hermann. The Nürburgring wasn't just a racetrack to Verstappen, it was psychological geography. The place where the old Max died and the unstoppable version was born. But the mental shift alone wasn't enough. What Verstappen did next would separate him from every other driver in motorsport history. While his rivals focused on physical training, media obligations, and rest during the off-season, Verstappen was building something in the virtual world. A preparation system so advanced, so obsessively detailed, that it would eventually allow him to break lap records at circuits he'd never physically driven before. And it all started with a video game. Since 2015, Verstappen had been a member of Team Redline, one of the most elite sim racing teams in the world. But this wasn't a hobby. This wasn't a way to relax between Formula One races. This was training. Verstappen approached iRacing with the same intensity he brought to Formula One. His iRacing rating climbed to 8,900, placing him in the top 0.5% of sim racers globally. He wasn't just fast in virtual cars, he was elite. The 2021 Saudi Arabian Grand Prix was the first time the motorsport world glimpsed what Verstappen was really doing. Jeddah was a brand new circuit. No driver had ever raced there. Red Bull's official simulator wasn't ready with a digital version of the track. While other teams scrambled to prepare using limited data and track maps, Verstappen took matters into his own hands. He commissioned a custom simulation of the Jeddah circuit and spent days learning every braking point, every apex, every curb in the virtual world. What happened next shocked the entire F1 paddock, and it proved the system worked. Bradley Scanes, his former performance coach, described what happened next in Free Practice 1. Purple, purple, purple. Verstappen went fastest in every single sector on his very first flying lap, while every other driver was still trying to figure out where turn 7 was.
Verstappen now snatches the championship trophy.
That wasn't talent, that was preparation. That was the system. The Nürburgring Nordschleife became Verstappen's virtual obsession. Over the years, he racked up thousands of laps on the digital version of the Green Hell through iRacing's laser-scanned recreation. He competed in virtual 24-hour races at the Nordschleife. He studied every elevation change, every off-camber corner, every single one of the 154 turns that make the circuit the most dangerous in the world. And in 2024, he proved the system worked in the most absurd way imaginable. May 19th, 2024, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix at Imola. Verstappen dominated the real-world Formula One race.
Max Verstappen wins in Imola. What a finish from those two.
Then, less than 12 hours later, he climbed into a makeshift simulator set up inside a flower delivery van in the Team Redline paddock and won the virtual Nürburgring 24 hours. Same day, 2 races, 2 victories, 1 in Formula One's fastest cars, 1 in a van that smelled like roses. That moment defined everything about Max Verstappen's approach to racing. While other drivers relied on natural talent and instinct, Verstappen treated motorsport like engineering. He turned preparation into an exact science. And that mental shift in 2020? That system built through sim racing? It was all about to converge at the place where it began. The Nürburgring was calling Max Verstappen back. Not as a frustrated Formula One driver, not as a secret tester named Franz Hermann, but as something the motorsport world had never seen before. A driver who could master any discipline, any circuit, any car, through a combination of mental resilience and virtual preparation that no rival could replicate. Everything was about to change. September 2025. The Nürburgring Nordschleife race day. The weather was brutal. Dense fog rolled across the circuit like a living thing, swallowing entire sections of track. Drizzle turned the asphalt into a slick, unpredictable nightmare. The temperature hovered between 8 and 9 degrees Celsius. Qualifying was delayed by 30 minutes. Teams scrambled. Drivers waited nervously in their garages, staring at weather radar that offered no comfort. When the session finally began, the Nordschleife revealed itself as the beast it had always been. Max Verstappen qualified 3rd, not pole position, not domination, and for anyone who remembered the 2020 version of Verstappen, the one who complained about cold tyres and freezing conditions, this felt like a familiar story. Same circuit, same weather, same starting position. But this wasn't the same Max Verstappen. Watch what the new version does in identical conditions. When the lights went out for the 4-hour GT3 endurance race, something extraordinary happened. Verstappen didn't wait. He didn't settle. By turn 1, he was in the lead. And then he simply disappeared into the fog. While other drivers fought for grip, Verstappen was smooth. While others struggled with visibility, Verstappen knew every braking point by memory. Those thousands of virtual laps at the Nordschleife weren't just practice. They were programming. His brain had stored every elevation change, every off-camber corner, every single dangerous section of the 154-turn circuit. The sim racing preparation didn't just help, it made him untouchable. Lap after lap, Verstappen extended his lead. No drama, no mistakes, no radio complaints about tyres or weather, just silent, surgical dominance in conditions that would have broken most drivers. The contrast to 2020 was staggering. 5 years earlier, he had finished 2nd at this circuit while complaining about the cold. Now, in identical freezing conditions, he was leading a GT3 race without saying a word. His co-driver was Chris Lolham, a name that meant everything to this story. Lolham wasn't a traditional racing driver who had climbed through karting and junior formulas. He was a sim racer, a virtual driver driver who had proven himself fast enough in the digital world to earn a seat in a real GT3 car alongside a 4-time Formula One world champion. The fact that Verstappen chose Lulem as his teammate wasn't random. It was a statement. The virtual world and the real world weren't separate anymore. They were the same, and together they were unstoppable. 4 hours later, Max Verstappen crossed the finish line in first place.
After 4 hours, the 57th edition of the ADAC Barbarossa Prize goes to Max Verstappen and to Chris Lulem.
His GT3 victory at the Nürburgring Nordschleife was complete. The same circuit where his mindset transformed in 2020. The same track where he had secretly tested as Franz Hermann just months earlier. The same Nordschleife he had conquered thousands of times in the virtual world. Now he had conquered it in reality. The reaction from the motorsport world was immediate. Timo Bernhard, a 5-time Nürburgring 24 Hours winner, and the lap record holder at the Nordschleife got emotional. Hats off to Max Verstappen, his voice thick with respect. George Russell, Verstappen's Formula One rival at Mercedes, admitted what every driver was thinking. "I think F1 drivers are pretty jealous of the fact that he's able to go and do that," Russell said. The jealousy wasn't about the victory itself. It was about what the victory represented. Max Verstappen wasn't confined to Formula One. He wasn't limited by his discipline. He could dominate anywhere, in any car, on any circuit, and he made it look easy. But this victory wasn't just about winning one race. It was about to trigger a chain reaction that would change motorsport forever. The victory wasn't just about speed. It was about validation. Validation of the system, validation of the virtual preparation, validation of the mental transformation that began in 2020. Every element of Verstappen's approach had been tested in the most demanding environment in motorsport, and every element had worked perfectly. The Franz Hermann secret testing. It gave him data no competitor had. The thousands of sim racing laps. They built muscle memory that translated directly to the real car. The 2020 mindset shift? It turned freezing conditions from an excuse into an advantage. The engineering approach using Google Maps and satellite imagery? It replaced guesswork with precision. Other drivers had talent. Verstappen had a system, and the system was about to change everything, because this Nürburgring victory wasn't the finish line. It was the starting gun. The question wasn't whether Max Verstappen could win in multiple disciplines. The question was how far he could take it. And the answer would reshape motorsport forever. The impact of Max Verstappen's Nürburgring victory wasn't just felt in the GT3 paddock, it rippled through the entire motorsport industry. Within weeks of the race, something unprecedented happened. Motorsport Australia, one of the sport's major governing bodies, officially recognized sim racing as a legitimate pathway into professional motorsport. Virtual racing was no longer a hobby or a side activity. It was now an official route to real-world competition, acknowledged by the organizations that control the sport. And Max Verstappen was the reason why. But Verstappen wasn't done. What he was planning next would take this system to its ultimate test. His partnership with Chris Lulem proved that sim racers could compete at the highest level when given the opportunity. A driver who spent years mastering virtual circuits, building racecraft through iRacing and online competitions, then translating that skill directly into a real GT3 car alongside a 4-time Formula One world champion. Gabriel Bortoleto, one of Formula One's incoming rookies, summed up what every young driver was thinking. He's winning in F1, why wouldn't he win in GT3? The question wasn't rhetorical. It was the acknowledgement of a new reality. Max Verstappen wasn't bound by traditional racing categories. He was redefining what a modern racing driver could be. The sim racing industry responded immediately. Market projections showed growth of 6.4% annually through 2032, fueled largely by Verstappen's visibility and success. Verstappen had legitimized an entire generation of sim racers who were told their virtual victories didn't count. Now they counted, now they mattered. Even Red Bull, traditionally protective of their Formula One assets, adapted. Christian Horner and Helmut Marko recognized that allowing Verstappen to race in other disciplines wasn't a distraction. It was driver retention. In an era where the Formula One calendar stretched to 24 races across 266 days, keeping elite drivers engaged required flexibility. Verstappen wasn't burning out. He was staying sharp by racing everything. Helmut Marko confirmed what the motorsport world had been whispering about for months. Max Verstappen would compete in the 2026 Nürburgring 24 Hours, the full endurance race that makes the 4-hour GT3 event look like a warm-up lap. 24 hours of racing on the most dangerous circuit in the world. No brakes, no margin for error, just survival and speed. But even that wasn't the limit of Verstappen's ambition. Le Mans, the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the most prestigious endurance race in motorsport history. Verstappen had already secured a partnership with Fernando Alonso, the two-time Formula One world champion who conquered Le Mans twice and became obsessed with the Triple Crown of motorsport. Alonso's words carried weight. "I would only want to do it with Max again," he said, referring to potential future Le Mans entries. But reality created constraints. Max Verstappen's Red Bull contract runs through 2028, locking him into Formula One's increasingly demanding schedule. The 2026 F1 season brings new technical regulations, hybrid power unit changes, and aerodynamic overhauls that will require intense focus. Teams will need their drivers more than ever during the development phase. Verstappen acknowledged the challenge. "It's not going to be forever doing this," he admitted, referring to his multi-discipline racing ambitions. The current F1 calendar leaves little room for outside racing. 24 races, travel, testing, simulator work for Red Bull, media obligations. The schedule is suffocating. And yet what Verstappen has already proven changes everything for the next generation of drivers. He's not chasing the Triple Crown like Alonso. He's not trying to tick every box in motorsport history. He's being selective, strategic, focusing on the events that matter most to him. The Nürburgring 24 Hours, Le Mans with Alonso, races that test the limits of preparation, endurance, and skill. The 2020 Eifel Grand Prix taught him to stop complaining and start perfecting. The virtual world gave him a preparation system no rival could match. The Franz Hermann secret testing proved the system worked. The 2025 GT3 victory validated everything. And now Verstappen is building a legacy that goes beyond Formula One championship trophies. He's proving that the greatest driver of his generation isn't limited by discipline, by circuit, by car. He's showing that sim racing isn't separate from real racing, that mental preparation matters as much as physical talent, that engineering beats instinct. He didn't just win a GT3 race at the Nürburgring, he changed how an entire generation of drivers will approach motorsport. The secret testing under a fake name, the thousands of virtual laps, the mental transformation at the same circuit 5 years earlier, the Flower Van simulator at Imola, the engineering mindset that treats racing like science, the partnership with a sim racer who proved the pathway works, the industry validation that followed, the future at Le Mans with Alonso, the 2026 Nürburgring 24 Hours still to come. This is why Max Verstappen's Nürburgring win changes everything. Max Verstappen's Nürburgring victory changed everything. But his journey from a 4-year-old on a kart to F1's most dominant driver, that's an even crazier story. If you enjoyed this video, hit subscribe and check out the next one. You won't believe what his father made him do at just 9 years old.